I'd like to call to order the Board of Directors for the Water District. And I would like to have the winners of the calendar contest and their parents and the young gentleman from the Water Management lead us in the pledge, if you will. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful job. Thank you. Roll call, Diane.
Director Oliver?
Here.
Director Evans? Here. Director Martin?
Present.
Director Snow?
Here.
Director Hernandez?
Here. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Introduction of new employee.
I'd like to introduce Matthias Labarere. He actually started with the district just on Monday. Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you say his name more carefully?
Matthias Labarere. Labarere. I'll let him
It's a
take
tongue twister.
And I practiced it before I came in. He is our new information technology supervisor. That position became vacant in October due to a retirement. He comes from the city of Encinitas, where he worked for almost 10 years. Matthias is married to Amy, and they have 4 children between the two of them. In his free time, he enjoys hiking, spinning, and activities with his kids.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Quick question, Matthias, do you have a nickname?
Maddie.
Thank you.
Or Matt.
Matt.
Get the first 3-4 letters so I know you're talking to me, and that's good enough.
Thank you.
Very good. Welcome aboard.
Did you start at Encinitas when you were 7?
Yeah, it looks like it, right?
Yeah.
Looking pretty good, 4 kids and long
Looking forward
career.
to 60,
Yeah.
65.
Keep it up, whatever you're
Be
doing.
around in no time.
Yep. Well, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
pleased to have
Thank you,
It's a
Matt.
pleasure to be here.
you. Thanks for checking.
Presentations.
Thank you, President Hernandez. Good evening, board members. Since 1993, Vallecitos has been participating with the North County Water Agencies in an annual calendar contest, having 4th graders within our service area provide posters that get produced in that annual calendar the following year. The top 3 drawings represent the district. Besides being featured in the calendar that'll come out next year, the winners receive Amazon gift cards, and the images are in our quarterly newsletter, Between the Pipes, and they'll also be obviously in that calendar. So tonight we have our 3 top winners with us, and first up in 3rd place, and I have to admit I didn't even know, but Megan Orr, her brother, I used to coach in soccer back in the day.
Oh.
So small world we have here. Can you come on up, Megan?
We can hold.
Awesome. Your certificate. There's your certificate, and then also it's got your artwork on it, which is pretty cool. And then just hang out up here for a second because we're going to want to get some photos, okay? Our 2nd place winner is Audrey Pearl. She also was our Facebook fan favorite. We had voting on Facebook, and she had 98 votes for her artwork as of about 3:30, and she really ran away with it. I think everybody liked the pig images. Can you come on up, Audrey? Awesome.
Very
So
creative.
you get 2. You get a yogurt party. It's at from Menchie's and Grand Plaza. Your certificate and your Amazon gift card. And last is our first place winner, Phoebe Nguyen. And Phoebe, can we show her artwork as well? Come on up, sweetheart. Nice certificate for you as well. And then your Amazon gift card. Can I get a round of applause for all of our students? And board members, as usual, I'd like to get some pictures. Can you come down to the front, and students and parents? Let me get some photos, and then I'll let you get a chance to get some photos of your own. Yeah, everybody's bewildered, right? Good. And in tight.
Closer together.
Yeah. Scoot over just a touch. Audrey, come on over just a little more. Well, that's pretty good. And hold it. And 1, 2, 3. We got one more for good measure. 1, 2, 3. Nice. And see, Chris's backup plan, right?
Uh-huh.
Always. And the parents, as soon as I get a shot with the cell phone. James teasing? No, I would never do that. You know, I probably deserve it. Awesome. Parents, would you like to get a picture? Gigi's mom's battery dying. Okay, she got it done. One day. Terrific, thank you so much. Congratulations. Students, you're welcome to stay. You're also approved to go if you don't want to watch the full meeting.
We have softball practice.
Okay.
Yep, thank you, good job.
Thank you. Wonderful, yes.
Thank you.
So much.
You might as well leave it up. You're gonna take more, aren't you, Chris?
He wasn't planning on letting.
Oh,
them
yeah,
go.
well.
He was out the door with them.
But we do have another
Yes, we
presentation.
do.
Do you want to introduce it, or just want me to take it?
Go ahead, take it.
Okay, I'll take it. So tonight, we have an innovative program I'd like to introduce to the board. A while ago, Mr. Bill Dean, Bill, if you can raise your hand back there. So he's the CEO of a company called BCK Programs. So he came to me with an idea that he wanted to have Vallecitos Water District's help in developing a year-long water management internship curriculum. So Vallecitos, along with the Livenhain Municipal Water District, worked with Mr. Dean and Miss Kathy Hacker, and Kathy, if you can raise your hand too, she's also a BCK, to identify important issues related to our services, and they wanted us to help them craft a curriculum that would ensure the students not only learned about important water issues, but also participated in activities that would achieve real-world improvements for their own school campus. So that's the important part, that real-world hands-on experience was really big. So the water management internship program is modeled on the successful stormwater pollution prevention internship program developed also by BCK Programs, which is now being conducted in 11 schools throughout North County. And just yesterday, 7 of the stormwater interns made a presentation to the State Water Resources Control Board in Sacramento. So that's pretty cool. So this evening, we'll be hearing from we'll be hearing from water management interns from the La Costa Heights Elementary School in Carlsbad, and 3 of their interns are with us tonight. And ultimately, the water management internship program would like to expand into schools within Vallecitos service area. So at this point, I'd like to turn the microphone over to water management intern Henry to begin the presentation.
Hi, my name is is Henry, and that's Winston and Kyle. We are student interns in the Water Management Internship Program at La Costa Heights. We call it WIMI. I was interested in joining this program because I wanted to help the planet while helping our school. In WIMI, we study the 4 water systems: portable or drinking water, wastewater, reclaimed water, and stormwater. We learned that our portable water comes from Northern California and also from the Colorado River. WIMIs also went on field trips to this facility and Meadowlark Water Reclamation Plant, and we had various water professionals come and speak at our meetings. They taught us some important things like how to shut off our water valve at home and in case there is a flood, and how to read water meters so we can tell if we are efficiently using water at home. But WIMI is mainly about taking action. After learning the ins and outs of the water system, we set out to conduct some very important projects for our school district. We looked at the water bill from Acosta Heights. It showed that the students and staff at the school use about 2,103.75 gallons each day. This costs for LCH $795 per month. We think that's a pretty good deal.
Project 1, Metered Faucet Audit. Our first official WIMI project was to find out if we were wasting water in our school restrooms. We noticed that some of the faucets kept running after students were done washing their hands, and some faucets turned off right away. We decided to conduct a metered faucet audit for the whole school. First, we collected data from 29 metered faucets on the La Costa Heights campus. We measured the amount of water coming out of each faucet after one push. We had also timed how long it took for the water to stop coming out of each faucet. We learned that school sinks are required to run for 10 seconds minimum to comply with ADA rules, and a quarter of a gallon is the maximum volume to comply with the plumbing code. Of the 29 faucets tested, 21 ran for less than 10 seconds, 3 exceeded 0.25 gallons. That's a lot of faucets to repair.
What can WIMI and the school district do to fix all of the faucets so we are not wasting water and money? We came up with 3 recommendations. Option 1, we can fix all the faucets by hand. We can make sure they all run for 10 seconds and with a volume of less than a quarter of a gallon. We know the district maintenance crew could do this, but it would take a lot of time, and the older faucets would probably just leak again. Option 2, we can replace the faucets with automatic sensor faucets and the sinks with trough sinks. Our existing sinks are too small to properly wash hands, and trough sinks would be cheaper than individual sinks because we would only need 1 or 2 per restroom. See the one designed by Henry and showed on the slide? This would save about 50% of our hand washing water. Additionally, automatic faucets are more sanitary than other faucets because you don't have to touch the faucet. This is a great health benefit, especially for a school. Unfortunately, each new faucet is about $300, and we have 44 sinks, so this will be expensive. It would take our school 48 years to pay for the faucets if we only used money saved from the water bill. Option 3, put aerators on each of the faucets to reduce the water flow. The people at the water district told us this could save us 40% of the water. Aerators are easy to put on and very inexpensive. We found them to cost between 64 cents to $10 each.
We recently presented our solutions to the Encinitas Union School District Board of Trustees. The director of Facilities, Mr. Devitt, heard our presentation and came to our WIMI class to discuss our recommendations. He really liked our ideas and wants us to proceed with a pilot study in one of the restrooms. We agreed this is a good idea. In upcoming pilot study, we will try all our suggested solutions on a few sinks. We will collect data and see which solution works the best for our school. Will the kids go to their favorite restroom and cause enormously long lines? Will the kindergartners waste water by turning the faucets on and off and on and off and on and off? Will something totally unexpected happen? We'll let you know the results of this pilot at our next presentation. Now on to our next project. Project number 2, reduce the use of wipes. Mr. Devin and Mr. Steve, the district plumber, came to speak at our WIMI meeting and told us about the problem of using flushable wipes. Mr. Steve had to come to our school to clear the main sewer pipe after it had been clogged with wipes. And this has been a problem for all the schools in our district. We use wipes at schools, especially for cleaning off desks. We now know that wipes contain dangerous chemicals that can cause major harm to us when we breathe them in, and they shall not be flushed down the toilet. Even wipes sold as flushable wipes do not break down and cause major clogging problems with the bathroom floods that would make the restroom unsanitary and unusable. Just imagine the toilets backing up. Aqueous ozone campaign. Our school has an interesting device called the Lotus Pro, and it turns water into aqueous ozone, or O3, by giving it an electrical charge. We watched a video that showed us how it works. Once the water becomes aqueous ozone, it's a very powerful cleaner. The best part is it's completely chemical-free, so it's way better for our health and for the environment. We've started a school-wide program to increase awareness about the issues of wipes and are currently proposing to stop using wipes.
The Wizard of Ozone is here to save the day. We knew we had to come up with a catchy campaign to convince teachers and students to stop using wipes and start using aqueous ozone. Instead, so we wrote and performed a skit for the whole school to see. The main character was the Wizard of Ozone. That was my part. The Wizard of Ozone demonstrated how a filthy school desk can be safely cleaned and sanitized using aqueous ozone. Everyone thought our skit was really entertaining. The best news is that the third grade teachers have already started using aqueous ozone. Plus, the parents and the principal are all interested in learning more. We plan to keep educating our school and our families not to flush wipes down the pipes and keep spreading the awareness and benefits of using aqueous ozone at school. We really appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak to you all tonight about WIMI and what we have learned and accomplished. Thank you all for supporting this program from the very beginning. I feel really lucky that my school has a WIMI program and I am able to participate in this special program. We would be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Questions from the board? Yes.
I think my first question would be for Winston. You said in your survey of the sinks and faucets, you said you were supposed to do no more than a quarter gallon of water with a push. So I'm just curious, are the pushes standard? Is there a difference between a big heavy person, strong muscular guy, and some little kindergartner pushing on it? Are they all standard?
No, it does not matter as long as it's sufficient amount of force to press it. It will go for an amount of time that it's supposed to or not.
So that isn't anything to do with whether it went for 3 seconds or 10 seconds? You know, I've often wondered that myself. Just think, if I push harder, will I get more water? So, didn't work, but I tried. And then my second question is for Kyle. You have it set, you said a quarter, I believe you talked about a quarter gallon of water?
Yeah.
Do you know what a quarter gallon of water looks like? Do we know? I don't know. In my head, I was trying to visualize.
Well, a gallon is, have you had a gallon of milk in your
Uh-huh.
house? Well, it's just a quarter of that.
But not milk.
Yeah, not milk.
It's called a
So,
quart,
yeah.
a quart of milk.
I do know what a quart is. I just want to see if Kyle, you're very good, you're doing a really good guy. And then, Henry, did you design the trough?
I did not design the actual original, but I designed the one in the photo on the slide.
Oh. Wow, you guys are great. And this Lotus Pro, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Is that a
Yeah.
product you can buy, or you get the machine?
Yeah. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure
both.
You can get the machine though.
So your school has the machine
Mhm.
that takes the water and puts electricity to it, through it?
And our school, the custodian, they have a machine in like an area where they fill it up every Monday and then return it back to the classroom so that it can be used again.
Yeah, every single classroom has this little toilet, and it has everything for Oculus ozone in it, like a spray bottle, a rag, extra rags.
Instructions.
So
Instructions.
you're using a rag that you get wet with the,
No, so you
It's
spray,
just-
you spray it on,
and then you
spray it
rag
on,
rag
and
it
then you
with the
just drop
rag. And then what do you do with the rag?
Well, you can wash them because it's only water going on them. It's just super clean water.
Pretty much. It's like energy, it's energy charge.
Yeah.
So if I would like to use this at home, I'd have to come over there and borrow one of your classroom little toilet machines. Thank you, you guys are amazing, and I think we should put them on the list as next openings for jobs.
There you go.
I think we've got amazing, thank you so much, it's wonderful.
Any other questions? Yes.
Great job, guys. I know firsthand it's not easy to get up there and do what you guys just did, so, you put a tremendous amount of effort into that, and that's really impressive. I would like to see maybe if we can try to expand this program into San Marcos. My wife is a elementary school administrator here in San Marcos, and I think that she'd be interested in seeing a little bit of this in San Marcos as well. So wonderful job, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a quick question. I've seen troughs being used in restaurants where there's more than one. Do you foresee any problems with fourth, fifth graders using troughs together, splashing each other, or, I mean, do you foresee that, or do you think it'll be fine?
I think it would be fine. The only real problem, yeah, let me turn it off. But the only real problem with the trough sink would maybe be because it only has one pipe, so it would clog easier. That would be the only, like, one of the only downsides, like, that could happen, but it might not.
And that's why we have to get rid of the wipes, so it doesn't get clogged.
Also, about the one pipe, it also leads to less maintenance on the pipe, so
Yeah.
less
Right.
plumbing to do.
Yeah.
That's really great. I'd like to see, is this a 501c3? Are you a 501c3?
No.
You planning on becoming a 501c3? Then we could support you financially. But I think that's great. I think what you're doing is awesome, I think very worthwhile. And excellent studies by you guys.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you very much.
What,
Yeah, I've got a question. What did you guys think about a 48-year payback on those faucets?
Well, it's challenging, but also considering that the ozone could help save money because we don't have to constantly buy wipes because they only last so long. And also the introduction of cheap aerators, which at minimum are 64 cents. I think it could save enough money to lower 48 at least to 10. And we could save even more, by saving more than just water.
And that was just for the water. That was just the coming back from the water bill. So there's also other things that we could use to gain more money to bring it back. So like with everything else, it would probably be like high 30s to low 40s.
Director?
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. First of all, thanks to all three of you, to Henry, Winston, and Kyle. You guys are great. And thanks for the parents, because I know the parents need a lot of support to support the kids in these things. I'm a father of 5 boys, and I didn't even know boys wash their hands. So I learned a lot tonight, and I want to echo what Director Evans said, that our industry is facing a real shortage of qualified people interested in our industry. So I think give you guys 8 to 10 years, and we're all going to be working for you one of these days.
Yeah.
So keep it up. Nice job.
I do have a question. What program did you use to design your sink?
It was an app that was given to us on our iPads, and it's called 3DC, and
you can make
basic
3D.
Yeah, and so it has like shapes that you can choose from.
Right.
But then there's also a draw, and I did that for most of it, like the water coming out and the actual.
Excellent job, excellent job. Keep dabbling in that. Very good. Any further questions?
Bill, where did this idea come from? It's an amazing idea and it's wonderful. Where did this start?
So it actually started 4 years ago with this stormwater pollution prevention plan internship. So we have students at all 9 schools in Encinitas. They write a stormwater pollution prevention plan for their school site, and they learn all about water pollution. And so as we evolved, we realized, we're missing a really important part of water in the state of California, and that is potable water, reclaimed water, sewage water. And so we decided to have a program that would embrace those elements. This was our first year of introducing the idea. We worked with you guys and OMWD to identify the pieces that you guys wanted to have within the curriculum so that we could make sure that it is really truly a learning experience that is of value to the water district. And we just plunged into it. Kathy really crafted the program during the year, understanding what the students' level of interest was. And I think you see the results of just the premise behind the idea that students are not just in school to learn and to prepare for a future, but their future is now, and they can actually accomplish real-world goals. And I think you have seen a demonstration of that tonight.
Very good. Absolutely true.
Thank you.
Quick question,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Bill, how can we help you bring this to San Marcos schools? Because this is a very, very worthwhile program.
So I am going to be meeting with one of the trustees in the San Marcos School District, introduce the idea, and I think, so there are 2 pieces to it. One is to find an educator within the school or a school that wants to embrace this kind of a program, and the second part is just the funding associated with having an instructor like Kathy come in every single week with the equipment that we buy, the testing materials and so forth. So those are the 2 pieces of the program. I think we'll be talking to the city of San Marcos to see if they could help fund the program as well.
And Director Martin, if I can add, we did financially help the program. We did make a contribution to help them develop the program. And I told Mr. Dean that if they get to the point where they're ready to launch it within schools within our district, we could probably provide some additional funding assistance.
Very good.
And we provide whatever technical assistance too. So if they want to come meet with staff and share ideas to help develop the program, we help with that as well.
It was a little disappointing to us standing here tonight to know that La Costa Heights is in OMWD's district. And so the relevance in having them come out, but they were, really proactive and meeting with them and explaining how the meters work, how to turn off the meter. They came out several times, and I'm excited about the opportunity to do it in your service area where your people can come out because it has that real world connection for the water that you're delivering to their schools.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think Chris would like us to join him at the bottom for some more photos. Let them get on.
Awesome. Wait a minute. No, this is fine.
Does your backup have a flash too?
No, this one.
All right. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Take your time, ladies. We got all night.
They don't need to show.
Okay, thank you. Good job, boys. Good job.
I just thought of that, yeah.
Diane, do we have any public comment? No, look at that. We should have waited till 7 o'clock to have the meeting.
Could have more people every day, yeah, you're right.
Public notice on the agenda?
Hmm?
How about that? Consent calendar. I'll
Move to
entertain a
approve.
motion. Is it a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Action items. 2.1, Jason, the man.
Well, tough to follow that act.
Oh, don't even bother trying.
Hopefully I
Just-
can do as well a job. So I'm here this morning to discuss the.
Well, it's afternoon, actually.
You're right, it's been a long day, apologize. I'm here to discuss the construction contract award for the boardroom audiovisual and lighting award project. As the board may recall, this item came up for discussion at the last board meeting. There was a number of questions, and the item was referred to the Engineering and Equipment Committee for review. That review happened last Monday. So I wanted to recap just a little bit where we are with this project and hopefully clarify some of the questions that did come up at the last meeting. So this project is seeking to accomplish several goals, one of which is to, as you know, upgrade the existing equipment that's slowly starting to fail. It's also to add some flexibility to the room for the different types of presentations that occur here, not just the board meetings, but also the Water Academy and school presentations and other things. It's also to improve the visual experience for the public, not only the people in the audience, but also those watching the recordings at home. And it's also to add some functionality to the room that may not be realized today immediately, but may have some future value. So This project does have board and staff input, and as you know, it was deferred as part of a larger project. That first sort of phase was the training room and conference rooms. I believe there was a tour of that training room today. So that project was completed September of 2016, and then we get to this project just for the boardroom. At the last meeting, we did have Vance Brashears from IDBRI. He's our architect consultant. He did go through and answer some questions and kind of present to you sort of the different features of the room. So I was just going to go through those real quickly. It's on page 29 of your board packet. This project, the different features include the 2 screens in the back. The primary function for those screens are really to improve the visual experience for the people in the front. The presenter, staff, they're looking at you and they're seeing the presentation behind you. There's also the screens on the side, those 2 rollout screens, replacing the one that we steal from engineering, but getting those screens out there to really help the people in the back of the room who can't see those screens on the wall, and also to add, again, that flexibility for the different types of presentations that can occur here. There's also upgrades to the stations here for the board members. So your screens are 18-inch. They're going to go to about 21.5. New mics, a new push system, a push-to-talk, voting system. That is all part of this project, as well as monitors for the executive staff here and also for the support staff on this side. You may notice that council and the general manager don't actually have screens. They have to look across the room over to this screen to see what's being presented. There's also additional screens that will be added directly for the control of the system. There's also the 2 cameras. So we kind of discussed that at the last meeting too. There's a camera in the front and a camera in the back. So that camera in the front sort of focuses on the speakers, and as Vance was kind of describing it, sort of that standard of having the video follow who's speaking. So we still have a policy that the public speaking have their 3-minute limit. Diane will also have manual control of that camera, so if there was a reason to switch from a forward camera to a back camera, that can happen as well. I did want to clarify that that camera in the back, it'll be a static camera. It has the functionality to tilt, pan, and zoom, but being a 2-camera system, it'll really just focus on the entire board. If we were to go to a 4-camera system, then we could focus on board members individually as they were talking, and those cameras can kind of queue up. But with a 2-camera system, you're just going to have that kind of static shot of the board. But it has the function for those other capabilities if we were to improve and do that in the future. There's also a replacement of the speakers, adding the track lighting to illuminate the board as well as the presenters. There's the staff table that we kind of described that goes over here to the right. That's to match the decorum of the room. Staff presenting will be there. There'll be screens and computers for them. There'll also be a podium will be presented over here to the left. That will also have a screen, and these will be interchangeable. So the plugins, you won't see those. They'll kind of back behind the wall, but that interchangeability will be a function of both the staff table and the podium. There's also all the necessary recording equipment and programming that goes along with this system, plus all the infrastructure, all the wiring, the conduit, and all that. So that's the base bit of this project. There was also some additional options that were presented that we asked the contractors to bid on. A monitor in the back, what we call a confidence monitor, and that's really if the presenter is speaking to an audience, he can see that as opposed to turning to the side or turning behind himself to see that. And as well as another option for those cameras, that 4-camera system, adding those 2 cameras in the back. We discussed that option as well. There's also the video conferencing and wireless mic systems. We didn't really see a value to that currently, but there could be some value in the future. So, but I did want to clarify that in the base bid, even though we're not recommending the cameras or the screen in the back, all that wiring and plumbing, if you will be there if we wanted to go to that in the future. So That project, and I know there were some questions that came up last time about the video quality, the audio, the lighting. So I had Diane just queue up actually last board meeting's video, just to kind of look at it real quick and kind of see some of the issues that we have. Do you mind scrolling up to about, well, even with that, you can kind of see the audio quality, sort of the lighting. When people speak, when the general manager speaks, he's off camera. You can't see that. When a presenter's at the podium speaking, obviously you're seeing them from behind. You're not really.
It didn't even get me.
Yeah, you're off camera. Oh, no, you're not there.
But your chair is clear.
In a brighter suit.
You were there in spirit, Director. So I'm sure you've seen these videos. You're aware of the quality of them. That's good enough. I just wanted to just show you that some of those issues that you were bringing up, this project is hopefully meant to solve. Now, whether that's important or not, that's another discussion, but this project is meant to solve those issues. So we did put this project out to bid. We did receive 3 bids on April 5th, with Audio Associates of San Diego being the lowest bid at $243,349. The architect's estimate was $230,000, so very closely in line. And then if you look at the other bids at $275 and $294, they're all sort of clustered there under $300. That's a good spread. So that's indicative of a good pricing. We did note that there was one minor irregularity in their bid, and that they did not return the signed addendums. However, in council with Jim and his staff, that's a minor irregularity that can be waived because they did acknowledge the addendum, so that does make their bid valid. So with that and evaluation of their qualifications, we did determine that they were the lowest responsive bidder. So we did discuss the award of the project at the last board meeting with the understanding that those bids were good for 60 days. So, and then as I mentioned, we did refer that, you did refer that to the committee. We met. When we met with the committee, we did try to set up the room, sort of a mock setup of what it would look like. We put a table here, a podium there, put monitors up, put a screen in the back to try to simulate kind of what that would look like. And with the committee members, kind of walked through the design, why things were certain ways, and kind of discussed the pros and cons of that. We did also look at a breakdown of the engineer's estimate. We do not have a schedule of value for the contractor. We don't have anybody under contract to ask them for that, but we did evaluate the engineer's estimate, kind of look at those individual systems and kind of what costs were there. We did also look at some other agencies and what projects they have done for their audiovisual upgrades, and they range anywhere from $300,000 to $1.5 million. So just try to put into context the cost of this particular project, what we were getting. So the committee did recommend bringing this back in front of the board for discussion. And just to talk a little bit about the fiscal impact of this project, we have a budget of $750,000. We have spent $430,000 in the previous upgrade, the training room and the conference rooms. So we've about $313,000 left. With just awarded the base bid, that puts us just a little bit under, with a little bit of surplus. So based on the budget and the committee's recommendation, we do recommend waiving the irregularity and allowing the general manager to execute a contract for Audio Associates of San Diego in the amount of $243,349, subject to the provisions of the contract, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Yes, Director Martin.
Well, I have to admit, I had a lot of questions about it, and I'm glad we brought it back to the committee, and the committee put a stamp on it. But today, when I actually saw James, our engineer, and one other person have to bring that TV, roll that TV in from engineering, boy, that sold me. That really sold me. I know their backs must be hurting today. So I saw them have that four-wheel thing pushed. But I think it's a great idea. I think IMAX is even better, but I don't think we have the budget for that. But let me understand, you're only doing a 2-camera system, not a 4-camera system?
Correct. Will be plumbed for 4 cameras, but we're only installing the 2. So if at some future point you want more of an interactive video experience where we're focusing on board members as they speak, we can add those at a future time.
If I can just clarify on that, the base bid includes only 2 cameras. The alternate, one of the alternates does include an additional 2 cameras in the back of the room, should the board so elect.
For the extra 50.
Right. How much was it?
58,370.
16.
357.
16,170 for
Yeah,
cameras.
the alternates are sort of à la carte, so we can pick and choose.
What's the committee recommending?
I don't, we just passed it. We didn't recommend
Well, we recommended doing the base bid.
base bid.
Yeah,
Okay.
just mainly for the budgetary reasons.
Right.
With the caveat of wiring everything for any
Yeah,
of these
in the
additives.
future.
My question is, obviously, the video quality is going to be much better. We can't see it, obviously, but we're gonna assume it's much better.
I have to assume that.
And not capable of close-ups?
It will have that
Shows the
ability.
broad shot at all times?
Yeah, no, it'll still have that zoom pan
Okay.
feature,
Good.
and it's supposed to be automatic.
Good.
And I'm sure it could be programmed to zoom as necessary, and that'll be a little bit of honestly, a little bit of trial and error of how that works with Diane under the controls, with the automatic functions. How much time does that
But if
take?
Diane's in
and-
control, it's not quite as automatic as you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
What you're trying to say?
It'll be
Okay,
automatic.
the last question I have for you is, Diane's very busy over there with a
Yes.
lot of things going on, the
Yes.
busiest person up here at all times, and she does a fantastic job. My question is, the 3-minute timer, built in, so that there's a light function up there as well, it tells the speaker, green, yellow, red? Is that what we're doing, or is it still gonna be up to Diane to have to say, sir, time, you got enough to do?
Actually, I'm not sure about that. I'm not 100% sure how that system.
That would be a function I would think would be standard.
Yeah, I'm not
All
familiar with how
boardrooms
they
use
do
it.
it in other board, city council settings. I'm not sure how they do that there, but I'm assuming that's going to be standard. Everything that sort of has been designed has been sort of
I
toward
just think
a
we
standard.
should have that.
If you could,
And either Diane or the chair can control it, doesn't matter to me, but someone needs to control it. I think the chair probably should, because that's all they have to do is push a button. Diane's
Yeah.
got a lot to do, seriously.
I can certainly look into that and find out how that is, and I have to assume that that's part of the
but the
system.
system does have the 3-minute clock, right? We're not gonna have to use a separate portable battery-operated clock that we currently use?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I will look into
I would like a system, especially a $330,000 system to have that capability.
We will make sure that it does.
Okay. The only thing
Yes.
and we've been talking about, different variations of this project since probably 2015, for sure, maybe 14. And I know that the board had decided to kind of kick it down the road, at least once, maybe twice, just because we were trying to tighten our belt budget-wise. But as we can see, with the audio and video quality, I don't think we really can kick it down the road anymore. This current system has been in use for 20 years?
Since 1997, parts of it.
Okay. And safe to assume that we can get another 20 years out of the new system?
I would think so.
Okay. So it's gonna last a long time, so the kids before were talking about some ROI, and so it's not gonna be a 1-year thing and do it all over again. The other thing I wanted to point out, just from my point of view, and I take a lot of pride in it, is in the last 3-4 years, this entire board has put a big emphasis on transparency and public outreach, and we've been recognized and won awards for those efforts. This is a key piece of that, and I think if in those efforts, if we were judged on the quality of our audio, video, and people being able to actually see and hear what's being said, that's being recorded, I think we might not have got those awards. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it's the right time. So kudos to staff for putting all the effort in it and having the patience with us as a board as we put this off for a couple of years. But now's the time.
Any other questions?
I just wanted one quick clarification. You said that the camera, if we just put the 2 up at the back, it's a static camera, but it could zoom in, but it would zoom in on a static picture, we think. It would zoom in and out on the whole board.
No,
not-
it'll be able to tilt.
It does have some.
Yeah, it can
Okay.
pan, tilt, zoom, so if,
Some.
and I'm not quite sure how they're gonna program it. That's all
Okay.
sort of the program function of, the intent was to have, I think as you push to speak, a camera would zoom on you, but that's more of a 4-camera system, so.
Okay, so-
It'll be a little bit of a trial and error to see what's the best
With one
visual
camera.
experience that we wanna get out of it.
You can imagine if we only had one camera in the back and we tried to pan the camera to each individual
Right,
speakers, it would be very difficult to
You'd
watch.
probably get seasick.
Yeah, it'd be constantly
No,
moving.
that's why when you said it could zoom, I was curious if you just mean it just comes in closer.
I would think we would zoom into a tighter picture, but that's just gonna be sort of, again, that'll be sort of
A tighter
laid out
picture
as
of
we
the
test
board.
it and we see what works best.
Yes.
I have one more question, and my question is, when I first got here, the only camera we had was the one that's on the wall today, the only camera, and it was poor quality, and I was told we're gonna change cameras, and they did. And they put one on a tripod back there. It was a fairly nice $2,000 or $3,000 camera. The tripod alone is $400 it was sitting on. Being in the industry, I knew it was expensive, and I always thought that was the one we were using. And people used to duck under it, and turns out that we've been using the top one. Where's the old camera? Is that in surplus being sold that we don't know about, or?
I don't know, but I have to imagine that's what Chris and his staff use for their mobile videos. I know Alicia is always running around with that camera, videoing
That camera?
construction
Okay,
crews and
that's-
doing interviews, and
it's a
I
great
have to
camera.
imagine that's probably where it's being used, but not a.
I think we have information from the back.
Yeah, that camera actually died.
Uh-oh.
It died.
We had back here, yeah, it had been used for so long that it just bellied up and couldn't produce a picture. It was just so blurred out. I couldn't get it.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. Well, and with that, there's no other questions? Move to
I
approve.
do have a question.
Not a question, but I certainly support the project either way, 2-camera, maybe even with 4 cameras, but I would, just because of the nature of the conversation here, if it's important to the board that they do have the Zoom capability, I think now's the time to kind of talk about that, and let's talk about the 2-camera versus 4-camera. I think 2-camera seems like it's a done deal, but if it's important, let's talk about it.
Well, if I could mention, the 4-camera system takes an operator. It doesn't operate automatically,
That's good to
as
know.
much as they'd like to try it. It takes an operator. The city has one, and they have someone from Palomar College sits in a back room and does all of it. I don't think Diane, like I said, she's got enough to do. I don't think she's gonna wanna be pushing buttons and zooming in on people.
And my concern about just that piece of this whole thing is, as we have been talking, we're gonna need a training program for ourselves, because we're stepping on each other's line. I can't imagine this camera's gonna be jumping all over from you to he to there. 4 cameras is overblown, in my opinion. If we can get the 2 to give us some good quality video, I think at this time, let's take baby steps before we rush into, cinematic production.
If I may?
Yes.
I agree with you taking baby steps, and I thank Mike for bringing up maybe it's now the time. I think we do need to see how the 2 cameras operate. And my only question then is, if down the road we choose to only do the additional 2 cameras, is that, disregarding whether we do or do not need an operator, can the cameras be added, since the, what did you call, the plumbing, the wiring is already in?
Yeah.
Could maybe added fairly close to this same amount of money within a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, I
Or
would
is
think
it a
we would
whole-
do that sort of in-house, maybe bring an outside contractor. It would be under the limit that would come to the board. We would budget for that as a line item in the budget, so you would have a chance to review that, I'm sure. Prices are always increasing in this area. I can't imagine drastically, but
Yeah, I just wanted to know how we would approach it, because I do think we're right, we should approve what the committee's offered. I'm totally supportive of that. I'm just curious if there's a reason to not delay the second cameras, although I would be a little nervous putting them in right away.
Yeah, so my recommendation would be to award the contract at the base bid, get the 2-camera system, and then down the road, we could probably have a company come in and do a demonstration for us, adding 2 cameras, and the board can see how it is we don't have to buy it at that time, we could get a demonstration. We have to pay a little for the demonstration, but then the board could get a sense for, does it add enough value for the price at that time?
I believe Director Martin had made a motion of approval.
Yes,
I'd like to second if I could.
Move to approve with, again, my thanks to the committee for bringing us back the correct way of doing it, which really sounds good, is what they're doing, is we're putting in what we need, and then we can add the two for a minimal cost later at about $60,000, if we're seconding.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Moving on. Thank you. That is the end of the action items.
Oh, a good question.
Yes.
How long is this gonna take? When are we expecting it?
Jason?
Jason,
Jason, when are we expecting it?
When are we gonna-
timing,
Next meeting?
Yeah.
when will the improvements come along?
I don't have a contractor under contract yet. But
Yes.
I would think, let's see, we're at the beginning of May. It'll probably have a meeting with them by the end of the month, and we'll get their schedule. Typically, it's interesting, typically these companies do a lot of work over the summer because they're usually working for schools. So we'll kind of have to see, but I would guess that we would start working in and around July. Now, we did, in our proposal, we let them know that we do have meetings here first and third Wednesday of every month. So the idea is for them to sort of work around our schedule to make sure that we can still have good functioning and board meetings and stuff. But probably the earliest would be July, but no guarantees.
And there may be some meetings where we have the pardon our dust type of thing in here, because it may be under construction. If it's bad enough, we may convene in the training room as a special meeting in there, but I don't think that will be necessary. With good signage to tell people where it's at.
And we've told them that they need to be very clean.
Thank you. We have 60 days to do this, so they have 60 days to complete it. Seems fair to me.
I think we gave them 100, but I'll double check.
All right, moving on. Reports, General Manager.
Yeah, just a few. So the state Department of Water Resources upped the Table A allocation to 30%, so that's good. Recognizing water supply reliability and availability. The San Diego North Economic Development Council or Committee or Council published a document called the 2018 North County Indicators. I've only got one copy of it, but I'd be happy to make it available to any director that would like to take a look at it. It has interesting information about employment and transportation and housing and what are the drivers for the economy. It's
I
very
don't know,
interesting.
could you email that perhaps?
I don't have an electronic copy, but I could reach out to the EDC and see if they can make it available electronically.
yes, that would be
Or I can
easier.
request additional copies if the board is interested.
If you could email it, I think it would be better.
Okay, we can do that. Over the next 6 weeks, you may notice a biologist traipsing along the property adjacent to us. They're doing some gnat catcher surveys as part of the potential sale to the school district, but there will
Oh,
be
really?
a biologist up there. So the school district still seems to be moving forward. And last item is just, as you know, we've been reaching out to the board members. We're trying to set up a few workshops in the next month or so, one on the PERS cost issue and the other on strategic planning. So look forward to those workshops and the board's involvement. That's all I have.
Very good.
Would just
Yes.
request if possible that, I know June people are leaving, but maybe the beginning of June, because we are pretty full April.
April, you mean May?
April, yes, thank you. We are pretty full May with everything going on. It's just like,
Yeah, so my goal on the workshops is to have all 5 directors and preferably myself available. And when I looked at the calendars, June was difficult, July is difficult, August may be difficult, we have to reach out for schedules. So that's 3 months that that's why I'm looking to try to get it done.
early June is difficult? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah, I believe one director won't be here the whole month of June, so,
And the manager's gonna be gone right after.
and I'll be gone right after that.
I
So
mean, we waited a number of months for this to take place, so I think it's essential we're all here. All right. General Counsel.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you, Director Hernandez and Martin and Glenn for attending The Bill is Due. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a good presentation. On SB 623, the water tax bill, kind of the latest news on that is that it's not likely to move forward as part of a budget trailer bill, which is good news. There's still concern that it may try to loop its way in at the back end of the session in August. And then I just make one last shameless plug for Aqua. I've got a couple of colleagues making presentations. Joe Byrne is going to be talking about the Santa Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency, which was just formed, kind of looking at the new formation of a water district, which could be interesting since most of us were formed back in the 20s or so. So that will be on Wednesday the 9th for anybody attending Aqua. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Very good. San Diego County Water Authority?
Yes, last week we had a day-long workshop. Glenn got to share part of it with me, and then the closed session, it was all about water fix and the metropolitan litigation, and everybody trying to figure out a useful way to move forward. I appreciate what Jim just said about SB 623, because I did want you to know that our $10,000 that we sent to Aqua has definitely been put to good use. We also had, the Water Authority had a group up there as well lobbying to let them know how difficult and irresponsible, really, a public tax would be, a public charge on goods, and hoping there's a reasonable way to handle the issue. And then in that response, one of the ones that we're supporting is, it's AB, I think it's 2050, and it's called the Small System Water Authority Act. And it's one way of, for the disadvantaged communities, of passing a bill that would allow a small water authority come together to take care of those who aren't in compliance, rather than taxing everybody and trying to make them keep going. So we're pushing that, hoping we can handle it in a reasonable manner and take care of the problem where it's at and not pay for it freely. And other than that, I think that was it.
Encina Wastewater Authority Capital Committee is in the next week or so. Policy?
Policy and Finance Committee hasn't met since our last board meeting here. We're not having a meeting in May. Our next meeting is June 12th.
Very good. Standing committees, Finance?
We did have a Finance Committee meeting. Director Sinella was stuck in Kansas City, of all places to be stuck. So we still continue with it, and we did through a lot of Q&As on the upcoming budget, which I'm sure we'll have minutes. We don't have the minutes now, but I'm going to assume we'll have them in the next report, the minutes, because it was a meeting. A lot of questions, a lot of answers, and boy, staff is just on top of it. I have to, again, and you hear me say this over and over, really thank our staff for what a great job in answering all the questions that they could possibly anticipate, and some that they couldn't. They have the answers to. As long as Wes has his laptop with him, he's all set. And his bottle of water. That's right. Both those things, he's all set. Great job, thank you.
There you go. Let's see, Engineering Committee, we had the committee meeting on Monday. You heard what we discussed, which was the award of the contract. Directors' reports and meetings of conferences, seminars. Yes?
I've had one since then, and it was the conference put on by BB&K. Thank you very much for inviting us. I think I wrap it up in the first paragraph. It was the bill is due, now what? And it was for a series of discussions about the immense challenges local governments, water districts, are facing regarding critical infrastructure needs, environmental issues, and pension commitments. At a time when it seems easier to put a Band-Aid on the crack in the dam holding back competing priorities, we know our communities will be better served by innovative, thoughtful strategy and forward-thinking solutions. And it was held by quite a few people in their fields that knew what they were doing. It was also held up at the Nixon Library, which I had never been to before. And I thought, what a great place to have a conference, because at lunchtime I didn't get a chance to see the helicopter that Nixon used and walk through to the Oval Office and some of the remakes they have there. But the conference itself, the speakers, and I also thought it was very interesting that Kathy Teagues, our president of Aqua, was attending. And of course, she's on the water board as well. But she was attending, and she thought it was, we had a slight conversation in the afternoon. She thought it was really great, but she couldn't wait for our Aqua coming up next week. So, but it was very interesting, really helped see the problem nationwide, not just in our own little corner of the world.
I also attended the same conference, and it was excellent. I highly recommend when it comes around again that if you have at least any opportunity at all to attend. So I ditto whatever what Hal had indicated.
Yeah, I'd
Others?
just let you know, I'm sorry, but we usually post the tapes later if you have late night trouble sleeping or anything.
Very good, because there was a lot of film going on.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. Anyone else? Moving along, that's the end of the reports. Director's comments and future agenda items? Seeing none? Item,
Oh,
no, yep.
yeah, I just have one. That group that we saw tonight,
The water managers?
BCK
Yep.
program?
Yeah.
What a great program. And I mean this, please don't anyone take offense to this. I mean this, that was very well thought out, what they learned, their education they received, and what they did. And this is no offense to anyone else, a far cry from the other contest. They were Mutt and Jeff, I guess. But I really, really think that's something that we should try our hardest. And I know we have a director that has a close, intimate with one of our vice principals relationship. But whatever we can do to help bring that into San Marcos schools, I really think that being able to make a difference, and make a difference pretty quickly. Especially we have a brand-new school that's almost built now. It'd be interesting to see what they've done as far as plumbing in that. Have they done the same old thing we've always had? I don't know the answer. So, but with all government buildings. So.
And I would concur with the comments, because what we found out, if you remember, the trash, litter bug, nothing took place until they started bringing it into the schools, and then the children grew up, and, perhaps it's a cleaner environment because of that. So, yeah, wholeheartedly supporting that for our community.
I'll just add to Director Martin's comments. Gwen, as you're talking to them and having discussions with them on how we can help or be more involved, if you give me a name and number, I'll certainly pass it on to my wife. As I mentioned to the kids, I think that's something that she would definitely be interested in seeing if she can help in some way.
I will do that. And so these were fifth grade kids. My wife is a fifth grade teacher in the San Marcos Unified School District. I've already had conversations with her, and she's very excited about the opportunity as well. So,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes just getting
Very
an
good.
in into the district is difficult, so, but we'll do it.
And Hal, we both forgot the attendance of the San Marcos Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, yeah.
With the
All
manager
three
and
of
his
us.
lovely wife. Biggest attendance ever.
Yes.
Excellent. Got out there, met some people. A couple of them talked about water, and we talked back at them. So I think it was well worth the go. So,
If I can just
Yes.
add to that, so Vallecitos contributed kind of a rain barrel succulent art piece that generated a lot of buzz and got people interested in both succulents and rain barrels.
Good.
very good.
And like that, one other thing, I'm very fortunate that my job that night is to take pictures. So what I do is every couple that comes in, I always ask them what table they're sitting at. So it was also interesting to find out that we also had people there from the San Marcos Education Foundation, San Marcos School Teachers Association. A lot of these groups now are buying, because they're parts of the community, are buying tables. And they're showing up because they realize what a event it is for the entire community. So, and their support is greatly appreciated, and I think ours was greatly appreciated as well.
Anything further? We're adjourned.